And what we've been doing over the past 2 years is really fulfilling that vision. And we've worked very hard to create a product that captures all the simplicity of a consumer electronics device, but delivers it as an enterprise appliance that will take many racks of these inexpensive servers, the same ones Google or Facebook or Amazon uses, and allows you to really use them just like a public cloud infrastructure without any upfront install, no engineering, no operational overhead after you bought the thing.
So if I understand you correctly, I buy my Nebula appliance,
yep,
and then I just say, please work, and walk away and enjoy the benefits of cloud computing.
Yeah, no key pressing or shells or anything. It literally is it's a turnkey experience from the moment you take it out of the box to the moment you're there building applications on it or using a browser or using APIs to use the system.
Now, from an enablement perspective, certainly you've got hardware and software partners at the operating system, the chip and hardware chassis level. Who are your key partners, and how did you come to terms to start working with them?
There's a lot of technology in the product. OpenStack is one of the core pieces of technology that brings a lot of the pieces together, but there's probably 50 different open source technologies and some Nebula technology that brings it all together into a really elegant, really beautiful, simple product. And I think what we're trying to do now is just really refine it so that the experience that our customers have is something that is consistent regardless of the environment they're deploying the system in. Doesn't require any hand-holding from any consulting or from us or from anyone, really.
Got it. Now, just argue devil's advocate. When I buy hardware from Dell, HP, IBM, I've got multi-year agreements from them on support. When I buy my operating system from Red Hat, Ubuntu, SUSE, I've got multi-year from there. I have existing relationships with them.
Yeah.
How do you, both from a marketing and technology point of view, position your company, against that?
Yeah, well, so HP and Dell are the two largest suppliers of infrastructure to the enterprise.
Sure.
And we're not going to change that anytime soon. So, nor do we want to. I mean, I think if there's an organization that is a all-in Dell shop or an all-in HP shop, they will continue to want to leverage that relationship even as they start to build clouds. And so Nebula is working with these Tier 1 and some Tier 2 server vendors to certify certain models of their hardware on our system. So you will be able to use a particular model of Dell server, a particular model of HP server with the system, but it will be a very particular model with a very particular configuration that we certify.
Got it. Because I would assume that some of the use cases are enterprises where they already have existing hardware, where perhaps they're running VMware, which is a company you seem to be fond of. I can't simply migrate that hardware then to Nebula. I need custom equipment then, essentially.
Well, so I mean, these are off-the-shelf servers. So I think that we're going to start to see this next generation of Intel architectures become available in every one of the lineups from the Tier 1s. We're just now getting to that point. So I think if you asked me this question 3 months ago, I would have said, well, we're only supporting Sandy Bridge-Romley chipsets. You might say, well, there's a lot out there that's not the latest Intel chipset, and I would say you're right. In the months ahead, certainly in the years ahead, that will no longer be an issue for our customers.
Got it. And then for a scale-out architecture, because it never ceases to amaze me, you see probably far more than I do, companies that thinks they need X and they really need X to the power of 3.
Yep.
How do you deal with scale-out? Is it just adding more Nebula boxes, or is there some other way to do it? That's
the beautiful thing about our appliance approach. So if, let's say that OpenStack was perfect and it was free, you would download it from openstack.org and you would have someone install some number of its services on some number of servers, depending on how many servers or racks of gear you had. But really, you have to kind of make decisions about how many of this service and that service you have to install to make it operate at a particular scale. Nebula takes all of that out of the equation. If you buy one of our cloud controllers, it will power a rack of servers. Done. and if you want to buy another rack of servers, you buy another cloud controller, and you just attach it to your network. And Nebula has tuned the system so that it will linearly scale on a rack-by-rack basis as you expand your cloud. And you can start out with a very small cloud with one Nebula controller and just a handful of servers, and you can fill that rack up, and then you can continue to expand out from there. To operate a very highly available cloud, you're looking at 5 or more racks, because this allows us to operate in a very highly available configuration where you can be upgrading a system while a failure occurs, while you still have several active. One thing to keep in mind is as you interact with your cloud, either via APIs or via the web, all of the services that you're interacting with are load balanced across all of the Nebula appliances. So the more racks you add, the more performance, the more scale, the more reliability you get in the system.
How do you do that load balancing? And I would assume there's a degree of mirroring and high resiliency in there, and is there latency across that as a result?
I mean, there's various services that all have different service characteristics and tolerances for latency, and Nebula, one of the things that we've done is we've removed all of the complexity from that by architecting a system that is truly turnkey. So we take care of all that complexity for you. You don't have to worry about it. Much like HP and Rackspace, we are very close to the trunk. So we were very quick to adopt the Folsom trunk, and we'll be very quick to adopt Grizzly once it starts to stabilize with some release candidates.
Now I know you mentioned ship date. What is the availability of Nebula products today, and how does it?
So we've had a huge number of companies come to us and request access to the product.
Sure.
We've selected a handful of companies in a handful of markets to make sure that we've built the product to meet the needs of a broad enough set of the market where it's a general purpose computing system, but we have not announced a launch date for the product yet. So we shipped many of these systems starting back in March of this year, and have been getting great feedback from some of the most incredible customers in the world. I mean, some of the world's foremost research institutions, biotech firms, financial services companies, and the feedback is going directly into the product, and it's going directly into OpenStack. So you'll see Nebula is one of the top, I think, #2 contributor to OpenStack.
Now I know obviously you came from NASA. How many of your staff essentially were just carryovers from NASA versus net new?
All but one, I believe, if I've done my math correctly. And the one that's not was fortunate enough to go raise some money and do another startup. So,
Mr. McKenty?
Hopefully he'll be as gracious with his contributions at some point as we have been.
Contributions are key. And then speaking about contributions, there are some vendors, Linux on the side, who may contribute more than others.
Yeah.
How important is contribution versus consumption from your perspective, just stepping outside that Nebula hat for a second?
I think from my perspective, if there are companies that are developing products based on OpenStack or services based on OpenStack, the more we see those companies contributing, the more we will see that core represent a true reflection of what we need in the marketplace to see OpenStack be that technology that allows workload interoperability and portability between various private infrastructure elements within an enterprise or various public-private hybrid infrastructures that will evolve as enterprises begin to tune this cloud model. To the extent that people hold back, we'll see entire use cases, entire classes of applications not represented in the core, which will skew the trajectory of the overall open source project. So we've obviously put our developers where our mouth is, so to speak, and have made as a ratio of number of contributors a very high number of contributions to OpenStack and various projects. Of the 5 core projects in OpenStack, 4 of the PTLs actually work for Nebula. So Nebula is arguably one of the more influential companies in the ecosystem, and we take that very seriously.